Great day, attractive thinker. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. If you haven't already done so, you really want to run on over to the website and grab your freebies at theattractivethinker.guru. Welcome my co-host, Tichet Bradshaw.
Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it again and again and again. It's such a great day to be alive.
Yes, it is. It is a fantastic and amazing day to be alive. I trust that you have your Attractive Thinker notebooks handy because you know we be dropping those gems that you're going to need all along the rest of your week, all throughout the rest of your day to support you with mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance. Today, we're going to be talking about riches in the midst of darkness. Riches. I want you to think about the word riches. Riches, when I hear the word riches, Tichet, I think about my highest potential. I think about all of my needs being met. I think about freedom. I think about peace. I think about happiness and joy. When I think about riches, I think about fulfillment, meaning, just being filled, feeling like yourself, being yourself. When I hear the word riches, when you hear somebody say, oh, they're rich, most of the time people are referencing financial riches. But when you think about riches, that one word is an all-encompassing word. It means more than just money. So when we talk about riches in darkness, when we think about darkness, Tichet, we're talking about a place where nothing is familiar, where nothing, you don't recognize anything, a place where the senses that you have relied on to get you where you are now no longer work in this place. You can't acquire or access the things that you desire the normal way that you've been accessing them. So, riches in the midst of darkness means there is meaning and fulfillment and peace and love and joy and being and wholeness and completeness in the middle of you not knowing where you are, in the middle of you not being able to access the things that you desire in the same way that you've been able to access them. There are riches in the midst of you being in a strange land. There are riches in the midst of you living beyond a break, be it a heartbreak or a break in a success. And when I say a break, people are familiar with heartbreak. But when I say a break in a success, it could be leaving high school, going into college, or leaving college, stepping into the real world, or leaving some community that you've been in exchange for another, or a break in a success in your business as an entrepreneur, having an accomplishment, and you've put all your energy into accomplishing this thing in your business. And once that's over, be it a live event, an award, some status, some new clients or a contract, a deal, an endorsement, a sponsorship, whatever it might be, a joint venture or a partnership, whatever it might be, you accomplish that, and then your body says, and your mind and your spirit and your energy says, now what? Or you get to a place where as you accomplish these things and they don't feel like you thought they would feel. Riches in the midst of darkness. Talk to us, Tichet.
Here's the thing. When we think about riches, like you said, the first thing we think about is financial. One of the things we have to consider is, why do we want richness? A lot of us, we think we want the richness because we think it'll make life easier. We think, oh, this might be, our home might be prettier, our car might be faster, or clothes might be prettier. We think of external riches and wealth, right? And though sometimes wealth is good, it's not always the end all for everything. The reason why we want riches is because we want to feel alive. And it's hard to feel alive in the midst of darkness. But here's the thing, this is why we say riches in the midst of darkness, because a lot of the riches exposes itself in the darkness. The path to the riches exposes itself in the darkness, meaning sometimes you don't know what's in you until you are broken. Sometimes you don't know what's in you until you are put to a heavy test, and then you get to see what you're really made of. You know, nobody wants to go through life feeling strong all the time, or feeling like they always got to stay on 100, or feeling like they always got to keep everything holding up. At some point, you're going to want peace. You're going to want some serenity. You're going to want somebody else to take over for a little while so you can rest. You're going to want rejuvenation. So for me, the riches in life starts in the spirit. The riches starts in the spirit. And I wanted to read what riches was, and that's an abundance of material possession and resources, and that which appears rich, sumptuous, precious, or the like. When we talk about treasures and precious and all those things, those are things that are dear to our heart. The question is, at what point are we rich? Because I've seen people with millions of dollars who don't feel rich. I've seen people who are wealthy but don't feel rich. It's like never enough. I've seen people who got even billions of dollars where it's never enough when we think about how much money and houses and cars and how much power people have placed on them, and how many people is around them, and how they got these yachts and all that stuff. We think of those things as riches, but I've seen people who have those things not feel rich internally, because richness is something that has to be in the spirit first. And so there's somebody right now who has a 9 to 5, but they have a good grounding spiritually, and they have a good sense of financial stability. Those are people who have the financial discipline, and they make like 30,000-40,000 a year, but they have the financial discipline enough to where they feel wealthy, meaning they have more money coming in than they do going out, right? And so a lot of us, we think that riches is when we have all these houses and these cars and every friend in the world, and you got your spouse or mate, and children and a dog, and you can go anywhere all over the world, when all of that is available right now to each and every one of us. I do visual encouragement sessions, right? And in these visual encouragement sessions, I take people all over the world. I let them tap into all of their possibilities, all of their opportunities, to let them know that everything they have ever desired or wanted is right now. They don't have to wait. It's right now. And then they feel the energy of it, and then go out there and operate with that energy and end up bringing forth what they were envisioning. Because you create what you are. So if I do something like a visual encouragement and increase your vibration, which is thought marrying emotions, right? It creates a vibration, and you start operating out of that vibration, you're going to attract more of that. You're going to attract more to you when you are feeling and connecting with the thought and what's in the spirit and the energy of it. You're going to attract more of that. This is why we say, oh, it rains, it pours. When things are going wrong, you say, oh, when it rains, it pours, it feels bad, I had a bad day, and your whole day go downward. It's the same thing in good. Remember, I said there's two sides to every coin. So just like how it is on the opposite end, where there's levels to being through, there's also levels of being blessed. There's levels to both sides. It's not just levels of pain, there's levels of blessed. Now, for us, richness has always been external stuff, money, paper money, coins, and things like that. But riches for us is things we find precious, which to some of us is peace. Some of us feel rich if we just have a peace of mind in life. Some of us feel rich if we get to operate out of our power. Some of us feel rich if we get to be surrounded by people who love us or people who really have our best interest. And let me tell you something, if you are not surrounded by people who love you or have your best interest, you are in the wrong circle, because there are billions of attractive thinkers and visionaries who are out here waiting for somebody who genuinely wants to be around people who have their best interests at heart. Basically, you're asking for more of you, which is precious. You are the richest. You are the richest. And when you understand your identity and how it relates to riches, when you manifest those riches in the physical, nobody can take them away, because you are the riches. So even if you pour out some of your riches, you're not pouring out and being empty. You're pouring out, but it's a cycle. You're pouring out because it's pouring in. You're pouring out because it's pouring in. And that's because you created an overflow. You're not giving out of your cup, you're giving out of your overflow. That's the riches, when you have an overflow of things that are precious: joy, wisdom, peace of mind, love, quality people, quality friends. Riches is not quantity. It has never been quantity, because there's some people who has tons of money and still miserable. There's a people who have tons of friends around them and not one of them can be trusted. There's a people who live in a house and all they do is sit on the couch and cry. They got a $20,000 couch to cry on. I would rather have a $2,000 couch to create stories that give me peace, joy, and love than a $20,000 couch to cry on. And if you find yourself in a position where you feel like you're in darkness, congratulations. Why? Because darkness is exposing to you, brokenness is exposing to you the opportunity to go up. When you get to a breaking point and you feel like you hit rock bottom, that's when life turns around. When you hit rock bottom, you have nothing else to lose. Everything goes up. And so you hear about these stories like Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry, where they created some of their brands while they were living in their cars. That's because they hit rock bottom, and in rock bottom, it exposes what's in you, and that you're not identified with the things that you have. You're identified with the power that's in you. And sometimes you might not know what's in you until you stripped away from everything you've been misidentifying with. There's some people you've been misidentifying with. And so once they stripped away, even though it hurts for them being ripped away, it doesn't make you. So when you have nothing, now you have the opportunity to see who you are without all of these things. Now you get to see what real richness is, because then you start to build on the foundation of a real, true identity. You get to build on the foundation of love. I've learned to love me. That in itself is wealth. I have quality people in my life. As I begin to learn to love me, I can see who don't. And so when I interact with people and they're requiring me to devalue myself, I'm not going to sit there and allow them to maintain that action. And I actually devalue myself, because when I love myself, I'm not going to entertain anything that's going to make me devalue myself. And so you start making people qualify to be in your presence, and making people qualify to be able to give their opinions and things like that. And the rest you just let go. And so you have to qualify yourself first before you know who's qualified to be in your space. And that's not from an ego standpoint. That's from an I'm worthy standpoint. I'm worthy of quality people in my life. I am worthy of quality experiences, quality relationship, and quality. If I have nothing but quality, I am rich. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I can tell today is going to be a great day, Attractive Thinker. I trust that you have captured these gems that Tichet was sharing. So many incredible things about this topic, riches in the midst of darkness. And while you were talking, Tichet, I was thinking to myself and taking notes about first, I was thinking like the attractive thinkers, trying to get in their head while they're listening to this message. What are they thinking while they're listening to this message, riches in the midst of darkness? And one of the things that I wanted to clarify, I wanted to ask the attractive thinkers to write in your attractive thinker notebooks. You have to first define what riches are to you, what riches means for you. What does that mean? What would make you feel rich? Write that down in your attractive thinker notebook. What would make me feel rich? Because we have so much programming that we have to unlayer and let go of and work through and reprogram, in our subconscious mind concerning riches, concerning money, concerning wealth. But when you write this down in your attractive thinker notebook, you're getting crystal clear as to what it means for you, not what riches mean based on what you saw on TV, or what riches mean based on what somebody told you, or what riches mean based on what you saw out of other people growing up. What does riches mean for you? And you sit with that for a moment, and not just like Tichet said, you have to marry thought with emotion, not just thinking about what riches mean to you, but what does it feel like? What would make you feel rich? What would make you feel rich? And when I say that, first of all, like I said, you have to define what riches are for you. If you define riches as having a lot of money, diamonds, clothes, being able to vacation and travel wherever you want, going here and there, houses and cars, and always being surrounded by people and parties and all, then those are external riches. But if you value riches as, if riches to you means peace, and that means you could sit on a rock on an island by yourself and be rich. If riches to you is peace and joy and having happiness and balance in your life and surrounded by people who love you, and no suffering and worrying, and all of this stuff that we go through, these changes, and not feeling good about ourselves and all of that. If you define riches as peace and balance and serenity and fulfillment and having meaning in your life, doing things, waking up in your day and doing things that mean something to you, be it putting a puzzle together, or having a conversation with your grandchild, or encouraging someone, or going outside and just going for a walk to be with the sun. Going for a walk to be with the sun. If you define riches as peaceable, quiet moments, sitting quietly, to hear the birds sing, whatever that is for you. And you say, well, you might say, well, Dr. Toni, I don't know what would make me feel rich. You have to tap back into your heart. Maybe you're not connected to your heart. What does your heart want? What is your heart saying? What is your deep desires that you have suppressed and put on the back burner because you don't believe that they can be real, that they can come true, that it can happen for you? Those are the things that make you feel rich. What is it? Joy and laughter. So if laughter and fun and things that are funny, that make you laugh, make you feel rich, make you feel complete, make you feel whole, then you need to surround yourself with funny things, funny movies, jokes, people that do pranks, funny conversations, sharing things that happen throughout your day that are funny. You have to surround yourself with humor if that makes you feel rich. Always laughing. You love to laugh. You love to have fun. You love to have a good time. Then you have to surround yourself with those things because they make you feel rich. And guess what? It doesn't cost anyone to smile. It doesn't, a smile don't cost you nothing. Think about that. So you can feel rich doing the things that bring you joy. Now, these external things, and I wrote that in the Attractive Thinker Experience that's now on Amazon. These external things don't bring us joy. We manufacture our own joy so that we can enjoy these external things. Because we've heard so many stories of how people acquire the things that they think will bring them joy. And like you said, Tichet, sitting on a $20,000 sofa and crying, because the joy wasn't in the external, acquiring the external thing. The joy was in healing yourself on the inside. The joy was in coming to grips with who you really are and what you really want for your life. The joy was in a simple decision. You asked me one time to share many, many years ago when we were at a mastermind event. You said, "What is happiness?" And I said, right off the bat, I didn't have to think about it because I knew how I discovered happiness. It was a decision, it was a choice. I decided to be happy. And that meant, it didn't mean that life was going to change. It didn't mean that my experiences or circumstances were going to change. It just meant that I decided to be happy no matter what, in the good and in the not so good. So even in the darkness, I can still be happy because I decided to be happy. You know why I decided to be happy, Tisha? Because not being happy cost me too much. I didn't like how not being happy made me feel. It's a heavy energy that comes with not being happy. It's an outlook. It's a sad, tilted, bent, distorted outlook, perception that comes along with not being happy. When you're not happy, you can't spot happiness in anything, in others, in experiences, in things. You can't spot happiness. Even when the opportunity for happiness or happy experiences is presented to you, because you have embraced or chose not to be happy, then you can't take the opportunity to be happy. You can't even step into the energy of being happy. Happy is a choice. When you decide to be happy, whether you have bills that are due or not, you're still going to be happy because you know whether you're happy or not, you're going to have bills. So why not be happy and have bills instead of being having bills and not being happy, adding this heavy, not so good energy to these experiences? You know, when disappointments and frustrations come, if you choose to be happy, then you've already made up. See, choosing to be happy is not about just saying, "Oh, I choose to be happy." It's also saying, "I choose to embrace and step into and shift into the emotions of being happy when I feel like my happiness is being robbed from me or stolen from me, or my happiness is under attack." When disappointments and frustrations come, when you have chosen to be happy, you automatically go back and check. You do a happiness check, and you make sure that you're still in the emotion of happy, and then you go and deal with the frustration or the disappointment. Dealing with it from a space of being happy and dealing with it from a space of being unhappy are two different outcomes, two different results. You're going to get two different experiences when you deal with your situations from two different emotions, two different energies. That's why it's important to choose to be happy. When you choose to be happy, what I'm saying is this, attractive thinker: when you're faced with disappointment and frustration and you've already chosen to be happy, you're going to look for an outcome that leads right back to your decision to be happy. If you don't riches, but if you value riches as, if riches to you means peace, and that means you could sit on a rock on an island by yourself and be rich. If riches to us, but it begins to be our mirror, we begin to identify with the dysfunction and the disappointment and frustration. Now it's not I experience this disappointment and frustration. Now it's I am disappointed and frustrated. That's a different kind of energy there. It's one thing to experience disappointment and frustration while you're happy, and another thing to identify with it and say, I am disappointed and frustrated. So, riches, what does that mean to you? What would make you feel rich? Peace makes me feel rich. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Even now, and I've had people, I've had attractive thinkers ask me down through the years in some of my coaching sessions, or at the end of my speaking events during the Q&A. I've had them ask me, "Well, Dr. Toni, do you ever get frustrated?" I mean, the question in my mind would be, what would make people think that I never get frustrated just because I'm the attractive thinker? Of course, I get frustrated and disappointment. I get upset with people, the actions and responses and all kinds of things. But because I've chosen to be happy, I decided not to allow everybody's drama to become my drama. And people will run up on you so quickly, like a cloud of smoke, with the drama and the sense of urgency to throw water on their fire and try to make their fire your fire. Now they want you to get all up in a frenzy, like they're all up in a frenzy. I said, hold, wait, calm down. You're still breathing. That's a good thing. The sun is still shining. That's a good thing. We're still able to experience love, joy, and peace. That's a good thing. And sometimes I've had to say to people, calm down and be quiet for a moment. Listen, life hasn't stopped just because you're facing something. It's going to be okay. You're going to smile again. You're going to live again, you know? And I've had to just calm them down in the midst of this heightened sense of awareness that they have. They're more aware of their problem than they are of their joy and happiness, of their state of being. And when you decide what makes you feel rich, when you start internally developing your richness and identifying yourself with your internal riches, you automatically know whatever happens on the outside is not lasting, is not as impactful, because everything happens from inside of me. Everything happens from inside of me. My perception happens inside of me. So no matter what I have to face, and yes, it hurts. Just because you decided to be happy doesn't mean the experiences that you have to experience are not going to hurt. It just means that you are not hurting you. When you are not happy, you are hurting you. In the midst of life experiences that can also hurt. So starting within is an act of self-love. Starting within is your first step to putting you first. And in order to put you first, you have to value yourself as worthy of being preferred. You know, this is deep, Tichet, when it comes down to living a life beyond the break. This is deep because we are deep beings. We're not surface beings. We are endless beings. There's no end to us. So when we start trying to do work on ourselves, you can find yourself going really deep and very far, you know, in order to get crystal clear on your perspective. How do I want to show up in the world? Well, how do I want to live? What will I allow to affect me and hold me back? And what will I not allow to affect me and hold me back? There's something that you said, Tichet, earlier. You said you used the word devalue. You wouldn't surround yourself around people, places, and things that devalue you because you know your worth. Your riches. Worth is a valuation term. Worth is a term that people use to things on things or referencing things that have value. So in order for you to establish what riches are to you, you have to see yourself as value. You have to see yourself as value, because why would you develop internal riches or say that you can even manufacture or you have the ability to tap into internal riches if you don't see yourself as valuable? Seeing yourself as valuable, that's a whole nother experience and set of work that we need to do on the inside to see ourselves as valuable. Riches, how will you acquire or identify riches in the midst of darkness if you don't see yourself as valuable? Back to you, Tichet.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? What you just gave? You said one of the things you said is life doesn't stop because something happened, right? So I wanted to talk to the attractive thinkers and the visionaries, and I wanted them to understand that once they make the decision to be happy, that is the start of you walking towards the happiness. Because once you make the decision, you're looking for everything out of it, and then life is going to happen. So you're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm happy and that's it. And I don't have to, be frustrated again. Like you said, we get frustrated, but we don't stay there. That's one of the things you were saying. Champions go there, but they don't stay there. They get back up, and they get back up because they understand that they are a champion. How we see ourselves make all the difference in the world. The way that we value ourselves determines how we let people treat us. If there's any attractive thinkers or any visionaries, same thing, that's out there, I want this to be a reminder to you that you don't have to carry all of that heaviness. You don't have to carry the weight of feeling less than and feeling tired. You don't have to feel miserable. You don't have to walk around sad or feel like you failed. You don't have to carry those bags anymore. The first decision to being happy is letting yourself let it all go. You gotta let go of all of those bags that has been on your back for years after years, from experience after experience. And you have to be willing to understand who you are outside of what you've been through, who you are outside of what you have, who you are outside of what you do, and who you are outside of what somebody told you you should do. Because that's a big thing. Like, a lot of us are going down a path because somebody said we was good at this. I once wanted to be a nurse, and then I realized that when I got into healthcare and started working around nurses, that's not something that I particularly wanted to do, and that there was more to it than patching band-aids on stuff. There's more to healthcare than that. And I realized that that's not what I wanted to do. And then, people say, well, it makes a lot of money. And I had to walk away from my job, even when it didn't make sense with nobody, because I was unhappy and I was tired of being unhappy. And when you get to a place where you're tired and through, that is a perfect time for you to say, you know what? I'm deciding right now that I'm a champion. I'm deciding right now that I'm happy and I'm valuable. And in this human experience, I refuse to walk in this life full of misery. All this time I have, I am not going to spend it doing things that doesn't make me happy. I don't care how much money comes in, because you're sitting there and you're getting paper, but you're not getting riches. You're getting a paycheck, but you're not getting riches. You said something earlier about how we want to show up in our day. And that's the thing. A lot of us don't show up in our day. I had to make a decision to show up in my day. I used to get up, get dressed, go out there to the world, be the best worker somebody wanted me to be, building somebody else's business, tiring myself out. And then when I came home and I wanted to do something, I was too tired to do anything that mattered to me. And then I would go eat, go to sleep, and do it again. And every day I was giving myself to the world that I didn't have time to show up for me. So what was falling by the wayside was my spirit. What was falling was me, was my heart, was my mind. Like, everything was falling, and I went so much into depression. And then one day I realized that if I don't think of me, who will? If I don't think about what I want in life, and if I don't think about how I want to show up in my day, who else will? Nobody's going to come and give you your life. You have to take it by force. You have to build that. You have to take that authority and build that life. I promise you, if you take that authority and build that life, nobody can take it away from you, because if they didn't give it to you, they can't take it. They cannot take what's yours. And you built that life of happiness. You built that life of joy. You built that life of peace. One of the first decisions that I made was my peace was my priority. If it did not bring me peace, I don't care what it offered me. If it did not bring me peace, I was not going to do it. They could have put it on a platter. People put steak and eggs and all this stuff on a trash can and offer it to you. And it could look good. I'm not eating it. I am worthy of a clean plate. You can't just offer me stuff that look good, but it's sitting on a trash can and think I'm just going to take it. See, when you don't value yourself, you'll take anything just to have something, but I refuse to take anything just to have something. I would rather have not a thing and gain everything from understanding who I am. I would rather go through life and experience the different things so I can find my joy. Because a lot of us, some of us don't know what our joy is. Some of us don't know what brings us peace. Some of us don't know. But the more that we are open to finding out who we are outside of these situations and circumstances, because the situation and circumstances does not define you. What you are going through does not define you. It's just a part of your experience, and that's it. But at any given time, you don't want that to be a part of your experience, you can nip it in the bud. It does not have to be a part of your experience. You cannot change what has already happened. You cannot change the past, but what you can do is understand and accept where you are right now. Understand and then accept where you are right now, and then build from that. Today could be the first day of the best days of your life.
Yes.
If you allow it. This can be the beginning of the best days of your life if you allow it, but it's going to take from you plucking off some things, some situation, some identity that people done placed on you, some identity you done placed on yourself. It's going to take you plucking off some of that guilt, some of that fear, and some of that shame. It's going to take you plucking off some of those old habits that was draining you down, that you don't even remember how you picked up that habit. It's going to take you to break off some of that generational curses and generational habits and tradition that your grandmother had, your mother had, and now you have. It's going to take you to pluck it off. That's not easy. That's not easy, but it's worth it. And so because it's worth it, you got to be willing to do anything to understand your peace is your priority, your joy, your love. You are worthy of it all, because when you are your best, you can give your best. How can you go and be anything for anybody if you're not even your best? So like I said, I was waking up and giving myself to the world, and then coming home and giving me something, giving me crumbs, or not being able to show up in my day. And that's because I didn't know how to show up in my day. So I had to self-assess and understand that what I want for my life, everybody might not want. What is my peace? It might not be everybody's peace. I had to understand who I was and accept it, that I'm not like everybody else, and that's okay. And that I don't want what everybody else has, and that's okay. But what I did have to understand is my life has placed me in different circumstances and situations that has hurt. But it also placed me in circumstances and situations that was good. I have a choice to whichever one I want to hide from. Like I say, when you want to think of the past, because you can't change it, remember, you're taking the lesson or the blessing. All the pain has lessons all over it. Nothing will tell you don't do that again, like being burnt from a situation. Nothing will tell you, hey, do more than that, like something you had fun with. So one of the things that at the mastermind experience, Dr. Toni, that you were teaching in there is to be alert and aware of your energy. And if your energy uplifts in the middle of something, that is an indication that you might like a little more of this. And it's okay to have a little more of this. So for instance, you ever have rich conversations? That don't take any money. You ever have rich interactions? That don't take any money. Everything does not take paper. That's what it is, paper. And our value we put on that paper is what determines it to be riches or not. So if our value of that paper determines the richness of it, wouldn't the value of ourselves determine the riches of us? Wouldn't the value of our experiences and our story and our desires and our visions and our plans, and wouldn't the value of how we show up in our day also discover what is riches and what is not? Because some of us are operating in a business or a job that makes us feel like, when our whole goal is to feel alive. Why do we want riches? We don't really want the paper. We want to feel alive. We want that house because we feel like we're going to feel alive in that house. We want that dude because whenever we're around that dude, he makes me feel alive. We like compliments because it makes us be more aware of what's good about ourselves versus what's bad. It makes us feel alive. We really want to feel like we are living. That's the bottom line. We want to feel like we're alive, and so we are interacting and doing things that does not make us feel alive. We got to have the boldness to cut that off. Now, here's the thing. Every one of you that is watching us right now, you are one bold decision away from living the life of your dreams. One. All it takes is one. One bold decision, just one bold thing to step out on in order for you to say, okay, I deserve fullness. I deserve fulfillment. I can show up better for my children if I am happy. I can show my children what happiness looks like so that they can go out there and live a life of powerful and happiness if I'm happy. I have to break that chain of misery. I have to then go out there and show my daughter that she's worthy to say no to things that devalue her. Because I'm saying no to things that devalue her. Because some people will not do what you say, but do what you do. So it will be beneficial to show your children what happiness, what sound mind, what prosperity in your spirit, in your money, and in your body. What does that look like? Because your whole life is calling you to be in alignment with prosperity. Your life is prospering, your money is prospering, your health is prospering, your conversations is prospering. Like everything is building this beautiful life that you never thought you could have. I know I'm a living witness. I came out of depression, and I remember Dr. Toni saying to you a couple years ago, I'm not going back. And I meant that, and I never went back, no matter what. Now, was some things thrown at me? Absolutely. Was I sad about them? Absolutely. Did I live in it? No. I made the decision, okay, so how am I going to get up from here? What am I going to do with this information? Where's the good in this? Why did this happen? And let me tell you something. I will find anything quality to build me up. When you make peace your priority, you'll find anything that'll give you peace to hold on to until everything else settles. And when the dust settled, I was still standing. And that's because I still had my strength. And I understand that my riches was built in my darkness. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Riches built in darkness. Wonderful, 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 Tichet. I love what you were sharing because that is so true. While you were talking, I'm thinking, attractive thinkers could be thinking, well, I mean, because you shared something, you said you had to walk away from a job because you weren't happy. Your reason was you weren't happy. So obviously you saw yourself as value, number one, in order for you to pay attention to what makes you happy and what's not, and honor it. That's the thing. You may know what makes you happy and what doesn't, but it takes courage to honor that, because it takes once you realize what makes you happy and what doesn't, especially if you're experiencing something or in a situation or a person, place, or thing in your environment does not support your happiness. It takes courage to change that. It takes courage to remove yourself. I mean, when it comes down to jobs, you're there because you need the money. Money makes the world go round. You need it to pay bills and things. But when you recognize that it was devaluing you and you weren't feeling happy, you had to make a tough decision. And that's where the courage comes in, because your mind starts vacillating between, oh my God, now what am I going to do for money? And then you get, after you go through these channels and levels of breaking away, you get to a point where as your happiness is so, your belief and value in yourself and your honor in yourself is so much more fortified and strong that you would rather risk the money for the happy. Knowing and trusting that you can get money from somewhere else where there's also happiness. This is what I want to talk about with this topic, riches in the midst of darkness. It's called balance. It's called balance. It doesn't mean we can't enjoy external things or acquire external things. Once you define what riches are to you, and you make the decision to be happy and have joy, because external things don't bring joy. They are things to enjoy. You have to first understand that. And when you understand that, the things that you acquire, you can now enjoy them. because you've established internal joy first. And that's where the balance comes in at. It doesn't mean riches, identifying them first internally doesn't mean you can't have external riches and wealth. We all desire that. We all have that. We all seek to and pursue that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's called balance. Where did you establish your wealth first? Because if the wealth isn't established inside first, it cannot be enjoyed once you acquire it externally. So that's where the balance piece comes in at, and the assessing. Once you get this clarity and this wisdom concerning riches in the midst of darkness, once you once you grasp this concept, you begin to look throughout your life, and like you always say, to share, go over everything with a fine tooth comb. Am I being happy over? Does this conversation make me happy? Is this conversation rich? Is it contributing to my wealth, my internal wealth? My internal joy, my internal peace. Those are our riches internally. And you have to assess. And though I'm telling you, it takes courage to do that, because you could have someone in your space that you've been in a relationship with for a long time. Friends, oh, we've been friends for 25 years. But are they contributing to your wealth? Because, Tichet, everyone who is not experiencing these riches are not just experiencing them because they're not rich or not worthy of being rich. They could have people around them that are draining their richness, draining their joy, draining their peace, draining their ideas and creativity and their energy and their answers and solutions, just constantly pulling on their internal wealth. So we have to assess the people, places, and things that are around us, because we call them energy drainers. Some people call them energy vampires. They have all kinds of names for them, but I want you to know that it is a real thing. It is a real thing. Sometimes you need people to bring things to your attention so that you are aware, because after doing without something for a long time, you get used to that, and that becomes the normal. That becomes the norm. And then when somebody presents something new to you that you can have access to, something new and better, you can't relate to it, or you have to hear it over and over and over before it clicks. And you'll be like, you know what? You're right. I do deserve to be happy. You know what? You're right. I do deserve peace. You know what? You're right. I do deserve to be talked to with respect. For a moment, just think for a moment how easy it is to get used to someone talking to you in a way that doesn't bring you joy. And if you feel tied to it and you don't feel like you can do anything about it or change it, you get used to it. And when someone comes into your presence, like Tichet and I, and introduce joy to you and tell you that joy is not something you have to pay for, it's a decision, it's going to take you a minute to process that. It's going to take you, you were like, Dr. Toni, how can I be happy in the midst of all of this? Because happiness is a decision. I choose to be happy. You're not going to take my joy. You're not going to make me feel bad about myself. You're not going to make me, go inside and start seeing myself like you see me. I'm not going to beat myself up for my past. My past is over. I love who I am right now. It took all of that to get me here. See, all of that comes from making the decision to be happy, choosing joy. All of that comes from choosing joy. So when circumstances happen, they don't, like you said, Tichet, earlier during one of our conversations, they don't shift my identity. They don't shift and shape my identity based on what I'm going through, because I already decided who I am and what brings me joy and what makes me feel rich. This is a rich conversation that we're having right now. And it's coming from two people who are already rich on the inside. And we're sharing our riches, our gems. That's why we call them gems. We're sharing our gems with you every week to support you in discovering your own gems, your own richness, on how to live beyond a break, how to pull your richness, how to recognize, identify your riches in the midst of darkness. Talk to us and share a moment, because you shared some experiences with me that you had highlighted about how richness can be found in the midst of darkness. You talked about a lot of ideas that Tyler Perry and Steve Harvey discovered while they were living or sleeping, living out of their cars. Attractive thinkers, I want to bring this up because I want you to understand that you're already rich. You don't have to go anywhere to be rich. It's not something that you have to acquire from the outside. It's not going to take energy. It's not going to cost you anything but a decision, because everybody has experienced darkness, Tichet. That means everybody is rich. Some people left their richness in their darkness, and we're here to help you go back and get that, to identify that so that you can use that. You need that richness that you acquired in the darkness. You paid for that with your experience. Talk to us about that, Tichet.
Absolutely. One of the resources that I have is when I was going through darkness, I started journaling all the things that I was going through. And I started journaling what I was learning on these resources. So on my website, visualencouragement.com, under my blog, I have these different experiences to show how each and every one of us goes through a process, right? And that process does not identify us, but it does shape us. What identify us is what we were meant to be, what we were called to be. So for instance, I have the butterfly effect. Now we all look at a butterfly. If a butterfly flew past you right now, you will go, oh, look, it's so pretty, not realizing the powerful story that the butterfly has. Now, we don't see the process of the butterfly on the butterfly as a butterfly. But what we do understand is at one point that butterfly was a caterpillar. We didn't see the transition from the caterpillar where that was a state of humbleness, that was a state of lowliness. It wasn't pretty, you crawling on the ground, can't go anywhere. And then you're a butterfly. So I'm supposed to soar through heights, but I can't get off the ground. And you're a butterfly. And then I'm utilizing the ant for protection, something that's so little. I'm utilizing the ant for protection, right? And you can read all this on my website under the butterfly effect. So then what happens is there's a transformation that's being caused. So now they have to go into a chrysalis, right? And so inside the chrysalis is where the transformation takes place. Do you understand? So when you read this, I want you to see where you are in this process, right? Inside the chrysalis, you are in a dark place, in a place that feels like it's stuck. It's just tight and closed. It feels like you will be there forever. But what they don't tell you in this chrysalis is that all of those little stripes that you see on the butterfly when it's flying out, all of that was made in the chrysalis. So every process that you have going on in that darkness is going to contribute to the beauty of your outcome. Yeah. It's going to contribute to what makes you glorious, what makes you be able to be admired, or to be the powerful story you were called to be, right? So when you are in the chrysalis, you are in a vulnerable state. You're more vulnerable to prey because it doesn't seem like you can defend for yourself when you are in that cocoon. It's a lonely place. It's a dark place. It feels like a place of stuck, because at least when you was a caterpillar, you can crawl around and you got to utilize other animals for help. But this part, you're by yourself. And you're like, okay, what is going on? I'm ready to get out, and I want to get out and fly. You said I could fly. Y'all said that if I understand who I am, well, they said I was a butterfly, but I'm in here transforming, and this not pretty. So then when your experience calls you to come out of a place of darkness, you have to then push out. If somebody come and try to rescue you, which nobody's coming to rescue you, you have to push your way out, right? If somebody come to try to cut you out too soon, because there's a process of coming out, you have to then push yourself out through what looks like a narrow opening. But if somebody cut you out, they prevent you from being able to develop in the strongest possible way, which allows you not to fly as high as you can and limit your life. We don't want a limited life. So when you coming out of this narrow opening, it kind of sounds like birth too when you think about it too. When you coming out of this narrow opening, that blood has to spread towards your wings. That you pushing out is the reason why your wings grow the way that it do. And then once you push your way out and you made it out. This is why every Monday I say you made it. You made it out, and now you can soar to new heights, right? And so what we have to understand is in the midst of all the different processes, the caterpillar, the chrysalis, and the butterfly, all of that is what made you who you are. All of that contribute to the beauty of your outcome, and you were created to be beautiful. Now, if somebody told you you had to go through all of this in the beginning in order to be a butterfly, would you have wanted to be a butterfly? No, because none of us want to suffer. None of us want to go through something. But if we have to go through something, why not have it be a powerful story? We're not going through something for nothing. We're going through something because we're having an experience which creates a story that's worth telling. You can read all about that on Butterfly Effect, where I really break it down. We also have Push, where it talks about the processes that you go through with giving birth to your vision, your business, your new life. We also talk about the time lapse, where it seemed like you're in a place where nothing's happening, but that's when the things is really happening, and paying more attention to your life as it's happening, and not just when a storm is coming. Like, there's so many things that I place there so that we can't forget that if we don't die in our process, we get to also enjoy and experience the beauty of our outcome. And everybody that sees the beauty of our outcome, though they don't know our processes, but when they hear our story, it has an effect to it. So what happens is, us coming on Beyond the Break and telling you our story is our way of saying, this is what went on in the chrysalis. This is what went on in the caterpillar stage. I didn't know I was always a butterfly when I was a caterpillar, but I knew I was made for greatness. And this is why I held on to my story. And all of that is on my website that can help you. And I would say go there, see where you are, and do not give up in your journey. Make the decision to see yourself all the way through to your greatness. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
Awesome. Tichet, I was thinking while you were talking, riches doesn't always feel so rich. But like you said, you have to know that there's greatness inside of you. You have to know that you're rich. Like you said, that's what got you through some of the experiences that you had. And I can definitely relate to that. Knowing who I was when I was going through different things and my defining moments and tests and trials and things like that, I had to keep reminding myself, you're great. You're great. You already know you're great. These things have to be established before the storm comes, so, because they help pull you through the storm. Greatness doesn't always feel so great. Riches doesn't always feel so rich. You have to shift into knowing. When you can't see your way, you have to shift into knowing, because there is riches in the midst of darkness. Attractive thinker, just for a moment, can you forgive your past? Can you just accept the fact that it all worked together for good, the good and the not so good had a purpose in your life because of who you are right now and how far you've come, and the fact that you're hearing this message? The fact that you are hearing this message is a sign that you're already rich. Everybody is not going to hear this message. This message is not going to come across everybody's feed on social media. It came across your feed because this message was for you. You're already rich on the inside. Can you accept the fact that the past is over and the only thing that matters is right now? And right now, you've made the decision to be rich so that everything you acquire, all of your dreams, ideas, and desires that you acquire are things for you to enjoy because you already have joy. I want you to visit Amazon. That's where the Attractive Thinker experience is. Get your copy today. You're going to be so glad that you did. All of the gems and the jewels and the lessons and the blessings that we share here on Beyond the Break, you'll have these tools and strategies and mental reminders for you to use throughout your day on your journey while you're creating your ideas, dreams, and desires to support you with getting clarity, mental healing, mental strength, mindset maintenance, remembering what you're gathering here on these episodes of Beyond the Break so that you can apply them and really get the results that you're looking for because you're already rich on the inside. And now what you see, there's a shift has happened since you heard this message. A shift has happened. You're already rich. Now the things that you're acquiring, you're not acquiring them with the idea and the belief that they're going to make you rich. You're acquiring them with the idea and the belief that there are things to enjoy because you've already discovered your richness of joy on the inside. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. Our life's work, you always hear us say that all the time, that's to make your life better. Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager.
Absolutely. But before I do, I want to tell y'all, I got my Attractive Thinker book. That experience she got. And Dr. Toni, I thank you so much for all your heart and soul that you pour out in that. Me and my husband, we both said, she put her foot in that. You know, I mean, and for people that don't know what that means like if you have a delicious food or delicious meal and somebody just put they all in it and it's good, we say, you put your foot in that. Now with your experience, we say you put your foot in it because you can see your heart and soul. It's like you took everything you learned and put it all in one spot for those of us that need it and for visionaries to find it and be able to pull the gems from your journey. All the gems that you have collected in one space. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I was really honored to receive it. And it is worth every dime and more, really. So thank you. You all can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, for trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers. All you visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting the heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself beyond the break. Again, go to my contact us page, put in your information. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let me know how I can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break. Again, that's www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers, remember, it is not what you're going through. It's how you're dealing with it. Think attractively, and we'll see you soon.